So this is the picture I'll be trying to work from. Okay, I've got another reference. I can't quite get it on the screen, but the other character. Alright, so we'll start with you, I guess. And let's try to you. Yeah. No, I got a different one. Yeah, let's try this one. I'll toss you in here. See how well that works out too. Alright, so it's a little unprepared today, but yeah, that's life. In fact, I'm doing it all as part of it. Yeah, so I've got a little over a week to finish this project. I've done stuff in a week, so it's not outside of the normal possibility, but I am a very big procrastinator. Alright. Yeah, pink. Okay. So you're a little too yellow. So, where'd you go? I'm running out of white. Look at the character, and it's very close to that, but not just quite. Hello, Gaap. Yep, Gaap indeed. I was looking around for characters. Like I said, I was trying to do Nox or Beatrice, but they just didn't quite fit the characters. They did a little, but not quite enough for me to justify it. Well, personally, anyway. This one fits a lot better. The character still is like more flies. Why are there so many flies right now? Shouldn't they all be like hibernating or something? I don't know. But yeah, it's gonna be a Gaap costume, I guess. And since it is a Halloween outfit, they're gonna be kind of a mix of them. Right, let's see how that fares. Here. If you've got any ideas for like a background, let me know, because I don't want to try the one they've got there. There's going to be too much red in the scene, because this character here also has red here, and along the top. So, still not quite sure what to do for the background. It's going to be a little different. I don't know. something else. I was thinking going like more of a black background, like emphasize her powers or some such. I don't know. Or maybe try and go on the character's background, but I don't know. Oh well, live and learn, and this is what I get for procrastinating shit. You reap what you sow. Oh, also, in some other somewhat fascinating news, real life stuff though. I am quitting my job at Radio Shack to move to Texas. Can't quite make that commute. It's a bit of a ways away. So been looking into getting a replacement. We've been looking at we've put up a sign, we're accepting resumes and such, which is fair enough. It's the simplest option. But lo and behold, my family down at Walmart has finally hit some of their last straws. So my brother-in-law, who works at the electronics department in Walmart, is looking to work at Radio Shack. He put in his 2-week notice at Walmart because scuttlebutt is he was in position for a promotion and management type job that quite literally everybody was thinking would be his. No, I don't know the entire situation, but from what I've been told, it's he was pretty much been asking for it for months, working on it, maybe even a whole year since he was there. Any of the other old senior members who had been for the job weren't really applying for it, or so I've been told. And then the upper management decided, you know what, we're gonna not give it to you. We're gonna give it to somebody else without talking to you in the slightest whatsoever, or thereabouts. And they gave it to somebody else. Now my brother-in-law, he's not too upset about who got the job. He's just upset that the company didn't talk to him at all whatsoever. And so he went in and talked to management about like some of that stuff. Like, can I get the management job? Can I get morning hours? And it's like, they're like, no, you can't get morning hours. You need this. Well, he's like, well, I need morning hours because my sister, his wife, shares that schedule. I need that because we only have one car available to us. It's like, I need to have mornings. Like, oh no, you can't have mornings. So he hands in his 2-week notice on the spot, all written up and everything, and says, all right, well, if I can't have mornings, I quit. I can't have mornings. You didn't give me the promotion. You're not going to talk to me. I quit. And so that was it. And so he started looking at applying to Radio Shack, seeing if we were taken. Said, yeah, sure, you can give me your resume. And he actually knows a fair bit more about phone network stuff than I do. So it's a very good chance that it'll all work out. I think you might be a little too powerful. Yeah, you're too strong. So that'd be cool. Then also, one of his friends also put their 2-week notice in at Walmart electronics department as well. As you can imagine, Walmart is not doing very well, and nobody's really feeling bad about that. My mom is also looking at leaving Walmart because she can't physically keep up with the demands that they're asking of her. So she's actually looking into transcribing jobs, which is kind of cool. And so she's starting to get into that again. She has training as a secretary, a typist, clerk, stuff like that. So she wants to kind of get back into that. That's a bit too... Well, give me a sec. A bit too white. Put in more color. But yeah, so it's like kind of weird how things are all falling into place. Well, things are falling apart in a sense, but they're also just kind of coming together in ways they look like they should be. That's one of the other things is, because Walmart is so just bizarre with how they handle hours. They have like very, very often they'll have shifts where you have a morning shift, and then the next day you have a night shift, and then the next day you have a morning shift, and they'll like alternate it every other week. So like on Mondays you have morning, and then like the next week you have Monday is nights, and so they just go through this very bizarre process, and people are like, I need this because my kid goes to school, I need to do this because I've got this project. No, you gotta follow our schedule. And it makes no real sense. They just keep pushing forward with it on everything without much care for the workers. Honestly, a horrible place to work. And there's all sorts of horror stories they talk about there. There's yeah, anybody who I knew that was a good person is fed up with everything at Walmart. They just don't make sense. But yeah, it's a good thing in the sense that in order to move on, you have to let go of what you had, which is what I'm looking at doing. Hello. Welcome. Talking about Walmart and such. But yeah, I'm starting a new project. Gonna try and finish it in a week. See how far that gets me. Oop. Yeah, sort of. Yes, I am doing the Gaap pose and the Gaap costume, but it is not Gaap herself. Because it's a Halloween fan art contest thing. I've done some before, but not just painting. It was a 3D modeling last time. I decided to paint this character. Yeah, it's a Halloween fan art contest. One I've for a series I've followed along for years. Dreamkeepers. I started reading their webcomics years ago. Not quite. I've got the ballot right here. You want to see the ballot? What an American voting ballot looks like? Moment. Yeah, it's a bit silly in some regards. Just give me one moment. Trying to use up this paint here before it all dries out on me. Alright, just... oh yeah, that one is a sleeve, so... Fill it up a little bit more. Alright. And there's nothing else there to do. And there's the face, but I'll do that for later. Alright. Beatrice portrait? No. I am a very lazy person in many regards. putting that off. I guess partly out of fear of screwing it up, but it's already slightly a mess. So you know what? When I'm done with this, I'll work on the Beatrice portrait and try finishing it up, because it's like 98% done, but just I'll do it after this one. I'll do it after this one. You can hold me to it. The right color. It's not for the color for this character a bit, but Beatrice, it's not the color. It's I did the face wrong. It's bugging the hell out of me, and I don't know how to fix it quite right. But yeah, this is I'm not sure. Not much of a matter here, but this is a ballot, American voting ballot, and this is just the top half of it, bottom half of it, back of it. So yeah, it's very odd. So let's see, where is it? Right here, federal partisan offices: United States President, Vice President Joseph R. Biden, Kamala D. Harris, Donald J. Trump, Michael R. Pence, Joe Jorgen, Jeremy Spike, Cohen, Howie Hawkins, Angela Walker, blah blah blah. Oh, and that's their president, congressional district 5, U.S. representative, governor, lieutenant governor, secretary of state, state treasurer, state auditor, attorney general, commissioner of public lands, superintendent of public instruction, insurance commissioner, legislative district 7, etc., and then county, partisan, local stuff. But one of the things that I find just ridiculous sometimes here is where's the biggest one? Alright, here we go. This is one that's interesting to read. Advisory note number 35, engrossed Senate Bill 6690. The legislature increased, without a vote of the people, the business and occupation tax on manufacturers of commercial airplanes, including components or tooling, costing $1,024 million in its first 10 years for government spending. This tax increase should be repealed or maintained. So we got to vote on a $1 billion tax increase, a $843 million tax increase, and a $103 million government tax increase. Oh, and the $32 million one here as well. So yeah, I can vote on that, and there's people who want more taxes. I don't know. I don't get people sometimes. But yeah, that's an American ballot. If you want me to go over some more of it, I can. I don't know a lot of the local people. I don't know much who stands for what or what they vote, who to vote for. They send a packet with all the information for you to vote in as well. But yeah, I will be voting. I'm going to be doing it in person though. Just hand it in at the courthouse or something. Well, they are and they aren't. So yeah, it's yeah, they send a packet that has all the shortened legalized versions of what that tax would be. It's basically they can fit all the information on a single page for specifics of that stuff. But for me personally, I will be voting no for every single tax, because nobody ever votes to get rid of a tax, and it'll stay there until we vote it out. So the more taxes, eventually you turn into California, where people are literally not able to pay to live there. It's a different type of things, but for sake of interest and curiosity, what would you guys think of on those taxes and such? Yeah, those were yeah, well, like this one here, the 843 million. The business and occupation tax for certain businesses while reducing certain surcharges costing $843 million in the first 10 years for government spending. Increase should be repealed, maintained. For 10 years, that's the one I showed you. Legislature imposed a tax on heavy equipment rentals to consumers by heavy equipment rental property dealers, costing $103 million. A retail sales tax on pass-through charges retail establishment collect for specified carry-out bags, consisting $32 million in its first 10 years. So this one appears to be basically the plastic bags or the paper bags or something like that that you keep all your groceries in. They tax people for specific types of that. Here's one. Yeah. The legislature passed engrossed substitute Senate Bill 5395 concerning comprehensive sexual health education. This bill would require school districts to adopt or develop, consistent with state standards, comprehensive age-appropriate, that's the key one, sexual health education as defined for all students and excuse students if the parents request. This is worded very specifically. State standards, comprehensive age-appropriate sexual health education as defined for all students and excuse students if their parents request. So they are automatically put into it unless their parents say not to. It's age appropriate for all students. So they're going to have a sexual health class for every student. Which won't fly very well for this local area. It's we have some issues in this area about it. I don't know, it's weird. Taxes and laws and all that stuff get very bizarre. If you want a bit of a simplified rundown of how American laws work, or the law system anyway, we start out with some dude has an idea. There's a Schoolhouse Rock song, I'm Just a Bill, which explains it actually very, very well. But in essence, some dude has an idea. They pass it on to their representative, who, if they think it's good enough, passes it on to the House of the Congress, and then they all vote on it, and then they all come up with an idea, a bill, some way for the law to functionally work. Like, the example that was originally given is, like, some dude thinks that all school buses should stop at railroads. Fair enough. Keep children safe. Keep them from skipping out on all those stops. Keep them safe, right? So dude has that idea, tossed it to his representative. Representative said, oh yeah, sure. But school buses to stop at all railroads isn't quite legal terms. So they'll say, in the state of Washington, we will require all educational vehicles to fully stop at a railroad station or whatever legalese they have for it, and then they put it up to a vote. Should we make this a law? If they say yes, it gets passed up to the president. The president signs it. Either signs it yes, vetoes no, passes it back down, and they sit there and argue over it again. They like arguing. They really, really, really like arguing about everything. And that's the basics for how laws work. And the reason we have ballots is kind of for us to, they come up with the idea, and some of the lower end stuff or local affected things and not the federal rules, we have a say on personally whether we want it there or not. And if we get enough people to vote for it and it passes, it becomes a law, and there we go. And there's a hell of a lot more complicated to it than that, but that's the gist of it. Oh, in other odd news, since I am speaking to non-Americans, that's why I bring it up. In most elections, a lot of Americans don't vote. Like, it's at best like 50% turnout rate for most people. Mostly because either A, the candidates or whatever, just there's no strong one way or the other. It's like, yeah, he's okay, but I don't really care either way, so I'm not going to vote. Or there's the mindset, I'm not going to vote because the guy I want isn't going to win, so why bother? Type of mindset, which is somewhat common. Because the presidential race is the biggest one that a lot of people are familiar with. And this time it's Joe Biden versus Trump as the two major ones. But as you noticed, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 nominees for a presidential race. Oh yeah. Oh, where is it? I thought it was on here. Oh, nope. That was the gag one. There is also the option at the bottom here as a write-in vote. So there's actually a fair amount of people who write Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, Homer Simpson, shit like that for president. And they get a non-insignificant amount of the vote, like single-digit percentage, but single-digit percentage of the whole country is quite a lot. Yeah, there's like some person who votes for Kanye West, and you can do that, and the general thought is you're throwing away your vote because they're not going to get enough votes to win. It's logical and not at the same time. Vote for who you want, not who you think is going to win. The like, but yeah. I can't quite argue that, though. I do believe America is the highest gross national product, barring maybe like China, India. China, India, and America, I think, are the highest grossing countries. But yeah, it's our biggest problem is currently our government. We're currently in like double-digit trillion-dollar debt, like $26 trillion or some ridiculous, obscene number. And we're never really gonna pay that debt off. We're never gonna. In my lifetime, I don't think we'll ever pay off that trillions of dollars of debt. So in that sense, yeah, we're just going to get poorer and poorer because we have idiots in our government just borrowing money, putting more things, printing out bills, all sorts of ridiculous shit. And yeah, a lot of other countries, most notably India, is very sharply on the rise, are pushing ahead while we're just sitting here being idiots. So yeah, I can't deny that. But there's the term America is the greatest country in the world, and I'm not that egotistical, but it's not the greatest. But I think it has the greatest potential for any country in the world. It may not be the best right now, but I believe it has the potential to be the best, which is one reason I kind of like my country. But we got corruption, we've got idiots, we've got all sorts of issues. But yeah, other countries are doing better while we're sitting here floundering and tending to go deeper down the rabbit hole with just bizarreness. But I think, well here, just as a funny curiosity, who would you vote for the presidential race? I'll narrow it down to Joe Biden or Donald Trump, because I don't know the other ones, and I couldn't tell you what they specifically stand for. and I'm fairly certain you guys have at least heard of them. So if you were to vote for a presidential election, who would you vote for, and why? I've got mine already lined up, and if you know me, you probably know who I would vote for. Yeah, after World War II, manufactured stuff. Yeah, absolutely. That's after World War II, we have a generation of baby boomers. Everyone came back from the war and made kids, and so we had a very bustling society. So that helped while most of the rest of the world was kind of worn out. European countries got like blasted, and they actually had their homes and lands assaulted. The war was literally on their backyard, so they were a bit harder to restore it back to order, while we were not affected in the slightest. Well, we were on shortages on materials, but our infrastructure is all still in place and improving, so yeah. Not the case anymore. Yeah, it's manufacturing for other people is, it's and that right there is one of the big ones. And the other one is China. China is the biggest problem in America right now. Well, economically speaking, because China does slave labor. It's like a fact at this point, and have just the smallest amount of pay for the workers, if at all. And so you just can't compete with slave labor for price. You can with quality, but most people go based off price rather than quality. Especially here in America, where we're all idiots. Yay. But other countries are starting to take up more manufacturing things, and it's become more normalized, and where they can rise a lot better. And the after effects of the war are now kind of not there anymore. There's some lingering aspects, like Berlin still has half of its gas lighted, half of its electrical lighting, stuff like that, but nothing horribly significant. Just more like lingering after effect type stuff. But yeah, I bring up China and India because they're the main powerhouses of the world right now. It's like, for instance, America, we're going through the corona thing still, and India is the one who makes most of our masks. Well, India and China, we're having a pandemic, so we're ordering all the masks from India and China, and they just make it and send it to us. And so all of our funds that we're spending on medical equipment and shit is going to India, which in turn is causing us to become poorer and those countries to become richer, which is, technically speaking, not good for your own country's prosperity. If you can make it in your own country, the money stays with you. If you send it to another country, the money goes to them. Not to be selfish, but that's kind of how it works. Fair enough. That was actually who I originally, first time I voted, I don't even know the dude's name, but I voted for a third party as well. But yeah, so if that's the case, that's a legitimate vote if you were to vote. So third party, we've got Joe Jorgensen, Jeremy Spike, Cohen, Libertarian Party nominees, Howie Hawkins, Angela Walker, Green Party nominees, Liberation Party nominees, and the Socialist Workers Party nominees. So yeah, we have socialists running for president. But yeah, my vote would be Trump. For two main reasons. One, he's working at cleaning up our government, getting rid of a lot of bad eggs. which is what I personally am for. Not necessarily Trump himself or all that he does, but he's working at getting things out of the system, which is what we desperately need. And so I feel he's working at doing that, so I'd like for him to be able to continue doing that, get rid of shit. And technically Trump himself is a third party. He's technically running under the Republican name, but he's not a politician. He's quite literally a businessman who became president. He, through his own means, became president, which is astounding in and of itself. Oh yeah, I made the note that about like half of America votes because they don't feel like their votes count and their candidate isn't going to win or something like that, or it's not important enough to vote for. I bring that up because a while back there's already been either 7 or 70, like double digits, times the amount of people already voting, and voting hasn't finished yet. So people are really, really passionate about this vote. And it's gonna make some big waves on this vote. But yeah, a third party would generally be who I would try and vote for as well, because I don't like the idea of voting down party lines. Like, you are a Republican, therefore you vote this, this, and this. You're a Democrat, therefore you vote this, this, and this. It's, no, I like this guy because I like what he stands for, not because of the party he's associated with. JoJo's not a crazy woman. Joe Jorgensen, Libertarian Party nominees. Alright, so that if I wasn't voting for Trump, and based off nothing but their party line, I would probably vote the same there as well. Libertarian is a right-wing political party. They, in general, go with less government, more individual freedoms, less taxes, less government. That's kind of a very simplified gist of it. But yeah, that would be something similar to what I would vote for, I'd imagine. So we've got you. Give me a sec, I gotta look at there it is. Alright, she's got a little collar. Bow tie there. Alright. But yeah, that's what an American voting type thing works with. Kind of works like, yeah, it's for reference, you take your ballot, if you were to mail it, which I am not going to because a lot of reasons now, but you take your ballot, put it in this security container with this little hole punched in it, and you take this one and you put it in this envelope. This envelope, and then you take this envelope with that envelope with your ballot, take that and put it in the mailbox, and it gets shipped away and goes wherever. And ta-da, you've now voted. Current situations, however, dictate that's a very poor idea to do, because mail voter fraud is it's already happening, it's already a thing. Yeah, the most effective means of voting would be in person. That's not to say it's foolproof, but it's the most effective because you physically have point A, point B, there's no in between. Because already there's reports of entire mail trucks that were filled with voting ballots being destroyed. Like all the ballots inside the mail truck have been ripped and shredded to pieces. Or they've had ballots from a mailbox dumped in the trash. And so your vote being in the mailbox is not a guarantee that it'll get to where it needs to go. And there's other cases of people voting for other people, where they'll take the ballots. Oh yeah, sure, I'll mail that for you. And then they mark in who they want to vote instead, and then just send it that way. And I'm not talking just like one dude taking somebody else's with a total of 2 votes. I'm talking people go to like senior housing, take all the votes from all of the people, like 300 of them at a time, and then vote for who they want that way. It's documented. There's a video out there of this one dude who is bragging about how many ballots he has, and he's videotaping, recording himself going, probably a polling booth or something, with all of the ballots in his car. And you're allowed to take like 3 ballots per person, because it's not unheard of to go toss a vote in for somebody else because you're making a trip into town and they're not. That kind of stuff, yeah, it happens. So it's not illegal to vote with another person. It is illegal to vote with 300 other people. That's a bit of a fraud. There's also cases of dead people getting ballots and voting that way. So yeah, or cats. There have been cases of cats who have received a voting ballot because they were registered to vote, which is not quite a good idea. Yeah, our system is very, very flawed right now, which is why this election is a very important one. It'll determine if we're good enough to continue using it or not. Yeah, it is what it is for now. And again, why I personally am wanting Trump to continue doing what he's doing. Just there's even a movement of having nobody for office. Get enough people to vote nobody into office. That way it's like, we didn't like any of you guys, so we're not going to vote for any of them. We want nobody in office. Nobody. Absolutely vacant position. Go. Which I would actually be okay with. Mostly. Because yeah, well, there's also, I guess it's politics day today. But there's one of the things I think should have happened, but is a bit of an oversight. I think they didn't quite mean it to be what it is at the moment. But in the Senate, and if you're unfamiliar, is filled with 2 people, 2 senators per state. So we have the state of Washington, 2 senators. The state of Rhode Island, 2 senators. The state of California, 2 senators. The state of Texas, 2 senators. Which leads to a grand total of 100 senators at the moment in office. And they are in there every 4? Or is it 6? I can't remember. They're in there for, I think they're in there for 4 years, and representatives are in there for 2 years. Or thereabouts. Anyway, senators are there for longer than representatives. And our president serves for 4 years. And then it's able to serve for another 4 years for a maximum of 2 terms. Well, technically 3 if you go with a very, very specific set of circumstances, but it's never happened, so it's just 2 years, or 2 terms. However, senators and representatives do not have term limits. They can sit there in office for as long as they are continued to be voted in. Which I think is a problem because you have some people who've been in their entire life, which leads to corruption. Not that they, hell, I would like my guy to be in there for longer, but you have situations where they are just in there for so long, it's hard to get them back out. And when you need them to get out of office because they're doing really bad things, it's really hard to do so. Which is why I think term limits would be a good way to go about it. Yeah, originally, government was supposed to be something you were it was your duty to work in office. You would go work your office and then you'd go back home and live the rest of your life doing whatever it is you were doing. It wasn't a profession it wasn't meant to be a profession like it is. There are people who are lifetime politicians. They literally live and breathe politics. Which is kind of a bad thing. The other aspect is, if you get them out of office, they don't have the ability to build up connections elsewhere. Or like, oh yeah, I'm in the government. I can sneak you in. Come on. Or they know other aspects of stuff like that. It's honestly just better to have temporary government than a perpetual one. Because if you do keep people in office for a very, very, very long time, you have things like the Queen of England. She's been there for like ever. And she's not necessarily bad, but she's been there so long, it's other popular Republican politicians. In the event that Trump died, it would likely be Michael Pence, his vice president, and something like that. But assuming just the Trump group is out of the picture, there's a good chance it's Ted Cruz. I think he was a nominee, or he was in the running last time. There's also another guy. It's been 4 years. I can't remember the name, but there are other Republican people who are planning to take it up. However, they're doing the strategical thing of not going against Trump and splitting the vote, because one of the things that happens with political issues is you say you have like Trump party, okay, and the Republican party, and they are Trump, but then another Republican guy wants in like Ted Cruz, just his name. So you've got Trump and Ted Cruz, but then you have the Democratic Party, which is just Joe Biden. So these two groups together would outmatch this one, but since you split them up into two different people, they are now both less than Joe Biden. So at this point, Trump is the popular, Trump is the currently in office one, so they're not running against him. They're not running against their own party. But if Trump wasn't a nominee, there are a fair amount of people who would be willing to take up his place. A lot of people would probably want to as well. Yeah, this is the wrong kind of black. You know what? Let's fix it. Let's fix that. But yeah, it's there's always somebody running for office, even people you haven't even heard of. But yeah, it's the Republican vote at the moment is solidly Trump. He's, in terms of actual just straight up appeal, hell, people know Trump. People are voting for Trump. Trump is currently in the middle of a hell of a lot of drama with all the rest of the political parties. good drama, not the bad drama. So they're not gonna fight with that. We've already won that aspect. Or the Republicans have already conquered that aspect. I don't see a difference. Oh, maybe. Oh, that's better, I guess. But yeah, there's all sorts of weird political games they play. Speaking of political games, there's the three branches of American government. There's executive, the president, congressional, Congress, the Senate, the House of Representatives, and the Supreme Court, which is the judicial. Or is it the legislative? It's not congressional, it's legislative. There's the executive, legislative, and judicial. That's what it is. And those are our three main branches of government. If you're ever curious about like how a lot of this works, there's this one YouTuber who does a very good job of explaining a lot of it. He does it with stick figures and stuff. Like he's got GSP in his name, Gray Stickman, something or other maybe. I can't remember. But if you're ever interested in like a lot of loopholes and odd little idiosyncrasies with the system, go look him up. But anyway, we have the judicial branch, the Supreme Court, and their job is not to be a judge and say you're guilty, 300 years in prison. Their job, as the highest court in the country, is to determine whether something is constitutional or not. That's their sole function. So if we get out of hand, like start making laws that people have voted on, people have passed, the Congress has passed, the President has signed, but then somebody questions it and brings it up to the Supreme Court, should we really have a law that says we're not allowed, we should all be mandated to kill everybody we see? No, that's not a constitutional thing. Get that out of here. That's their function, to prevent us from going over the deep end with things like that, which is actually a very important thing to have. Oh yeah, that's it. CGP Grey. Yeah, that's the guy. I can't remember the name, but yeah, that guy. He's very informative videos. He does them very well, with a bit of entertainment as well. But yeah, that's the guy. Anyway, the Supreme Court generally consists of 9 judges. Okay, it's an odd number so that there's no split. It's the decision is one way or the other. At least in theory. Currently, we have one dead, and the Supreme Court is a weird system. But we have one of them dead, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and so Trump is currently, that should be pink, nominating his candidate, and then they all put them in. But the point is, I'm rambling here. One of the current tactics to prevent Trump from having a Republican judge in there is to stack the courts, which in essence is, instead of having 9 judges, you just keep putting in another judge, another judge, another judge, another judge. So not just 9, but 22, 50, 100, a million. At that point, in order to counteract that move, you would have to have 1,000,001 judges. So you would end up with 2,000,000 judges. Because technically there is no limit on the Supreme Court justices. There was never a limit put in place, but 9 was kind of the norm. And it's a very smarmy move to make. It basically boils down to people aren't able to defeat the system normally, so they decide to change the rules and play that way, which is the general viewpoint of it from the Republican Party. I'm not quite sure how it is for the Democratic Party. I don't keep much tabs on them. But the Republicans see it as, that's a smarmy move. You should not be allowed to do that. And if you did do that, that would be an irreversible course of action. Because judges are in there for life, you would now have 1 million judges for their lifetime. And you can't, there is no measure to get rid of a judge. Flat out. You cannot get rid of them. Unless they themselves resign or die. So, it's a very bad precedent to set when you do something like that. But yeah, it's political games that people play. And which is, again, why I'm voting for Trump, to get rid of the people who want to push for that. Want to push for more people in the government, more things that we have power over. It's just get them out. Just get them all out. Just get them all out of there. I would simplify things a bit. Time for small brush. Time for small brush. But yeah, there's all sorts of odd things. And to be fair, our constitution, our set of laws was designed by like 13 colonies. I say people, but I don't actually know how many people were actually there doing it. Back in 1700, and there was no way they would ever imagine America being as big as it was, because hell, they didn't even know how big America was. There's all sorts of strange ways to game the system. One of them is gerrymandering, which is where you, in order to determine who you vote for, like where you're able to vote, like, am I part of Washington or am I part of Texas? Well, where's the line? Well, the line's here. Okay, well, I'm part of the Washington. Okay, so you're in this group. I'm in this group here, for instance, this little grid pattern here. Oh yeah, but you're in the local group, so are you here or are you here? Well, I'm in this one. Okay, so that would be the district I'm in. I am in this top right district for this corner here. Gerrymandering is when, well, let's use a bigger district, this 9x9 grid. Instead of having like 1, 2, 3 as a district, 1, 2, 3 as a district, and 1, 2, 3 as a district, you have 1, 2, 3 as a district, 1, 2, 3 as a district, and 1, 2, 3 as a district. You have shifted the lines and the boundaries, and the dude who's in charge of that is able to determine who's going to win an election. Let's say, like, the top row is Republican, middle row is Democrat, bottom row is Republican, or something like that. You could go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then it would be Republican, Democrat, Republican, and it'd be 2 to 1, 2 to 1, 2 to 1, and it would be the Republicans would win. Or you could go some other measure of it, but you're able to like mess with the lines, like 1, 2, 3, that's a Democrat one, 1, 2, 3, Republican, or something like that. I hope you kind of get the picture. But whoever's in charge of that is able to determine what groups vote with what other groups, and who determines what the kind of the predicted outcome will be, which is a big issue, but people know it exists but don't really do anything about it. I don't know. But it's how things go. But yeah, it's politics. Yay! I really do need to actually get up and vote. So yeah, it's I will be voting. I'll be turning that in one of these days. November 3rd is the last day for it. Well, sort of. One of the other ways that voter fraud happens is because mail-in ballots could potentially take an unknown amount of time to get to where they're going. They try and put in a buffer zone. So the election ends November 3rd. And then you have maybe 4th or 5th for stray ballots to come in, right? It's kind of the concept. But some states have allowed it to go on for like a week, maybe even 2 after the election, to make sure all of the votes are counted. But in that time, nobody can vote physically, so the only ones who can vote are ones who have voted by mail. And so it ends up being like, say, candidate A is winning, candidate B is losing, but then you have mail-in ballot, mail-in ballot, mail-in ballot, mail-in ballot, and they just all vote for candidate B, and then they win that way. America Uncovered YouTube channel? No, I do not. I haven't heard of that one. Of course, I don't keep too many tabs on many political channels. That Gray guy, what was it? CGP Gray. I watch him because he does other political stuff, non-political stuff occasionally. He explains a lot of interesting little facets of stuff. But what's that one about? Are you interested in the American system of whatever? Would this technically be Russian collusion right now, what I'm doing? Yeah. And there's that whole fiasco. I can go on for like just the amount of shit that gets brought up. But yes, it's you're influencing the election, man. You're the cause of it all. No, I'm gonna vote the way I'm gonna vote. You don't have much sway of my input. I'm just curious as to what you would do. Give me a sec. I really need a bigger space. Give me just. Should have opened up. Why didn't you? There. Maybe. I think it's going. Alright, so I'll take a look at that. If it ever loads. Oh, right. Frills. Anything to salvage here? Nope, you're all dry. Shit. Alright, so, well, I can go with the darker. Fix that. Trump versus Biden on China. Who backflips on lockdowns? U.S. alliance to counter China, but is there a weak link? Spotify centering Joe Rogan. Trump and white supremacists. I'm not quite sure what to make of this channel. Black Lives Matter partners with China. Yep, absolutely. Transsexual Satanist anarchist. Oh yeah, that's right. I've heard an article about that guy. Apparently, so a bit of explanation. The Republican Party tends to be very like no word, Christian, very Christian-oriented group. That's kind of their main voter base. Not to say that you are a Christian because you're Republican, but most Christians tend to be Republican. And so this dude decided to run for office in the Republican Party, the GOP party, I guess. I'm not sure the specifics on it. But he's a transsexual, Satanist, anarchist, and he ran on the Republican ballot. And the only reason he won was because he was the only one on the ballot. He himself even said, I didn't expect to win. I just, it was kind of a joke. Or some such. But that is actually one example of why there should be term limits and why it's important. Why are you being like that? Stop it. Because he got into office and he's, for lack of a full understanding on it, not quite the best one for the situation. He's just kind of there. But now, if he runs for office again, he will be the one who's already in office. And people are much less likely to vote for a new guy than they are for someone who's already been there a while. Oh, he has experience. He knows what he's doing. He's been there. He's voted in. He should keep that job. Even though, technically, probably not. I don't quite agree with having a transsexual, Satanist, anarchist in a form of government. That's gonna lead to some weird shit. Just saying. But yeah, it's. I'll check some of those out. I can't watch anything right now because stream. But no, take a look. It's kind of interesting seeing some other points of view and such. But, well, now you've got me curious. You have obviously a fair amount of American YouTube and information. So, well, because I'm an American, it's always in my face. I cannot get rid of any American political stuff. But you guys at least have the option to not look at it. So, what makes you so interested in the American system? Just out of curiosity, if you feel like it. Because, yeah, in America, there is no real way to get out. Okay, there is one way to kind of get out of hearing about political drama of sorts, and that is to become Amish. Now, Amish are pretty decently well known, at least in concept. But in case you don't, the Amish are a group of people who have decided to live without technological advancements. And they work with horse and buggy, hand tools, stuff like that. They, I don't believe, run off electricity. Or if they do, it's just very bare minimum to keep up with what have you. But anyway, I saw a while back that the Amish were actually on a I'm not quite sure on the term, but most I can use is like a parade or a rally supporting Trump. If that ain't the biggest reason to vote for him, I don't know what is. Because the Amish are generally referred to as very kind-hearted people. Congress argues over police reform, but 4 police reform bills, which I have the same, don't really differ. Yeah, well, one of the problems is, alright, I'll take a look at it later. Let's do it over here. Not you. Alright. I've got that lined up. I'll watch it later. Can't quite do it now. But one of the reasons why a lot of that happens, I don't know specifically for that one because I've not even seen it, but one of the reasons is some of those non-significant ways could potentially be very significant. For instance, there's things called earmarking, where you have a bill on, let's say, selling lettuce, but in the bill are things about giving Cuba 300 pounds of cigars every year. It's like, why does that have to be in a bill about making lettuce? And it's like stuff like that. It's, if you pass a bill like that, you've now allowed that little bit of whatever to happen. And so a lot of well, some politicians try and fight against that by voting for their version. But yeah, I will not deny that there are people who just straight up deny it because of the other party, which is definitely a thing. But honestly, I would much rather have them at a stalemate than them passing through something that is retarded on either side of the spectrum. My personal belief is just, if you can't decide on something, don't do it. It's just, we don't need a law right now to do some of that stuff. Yeah, but I don't know. It's a weird situation. Yeah, America's not the best at what it does, but it has the potential for the best. Memes with Trump. Fair enough, that's a good enough a reason as any. However, you would, because of that, know more about Trump than most of the memers. That's most of people. I think Trump's biggest meme a while back was not being able to drink water or something. Yeah. If you want to see some really weird and honestly really sad and kind of terrifying at the same time, if you think more about it, look up Joe Biden memes. Yeah, Joe Biden is honestly a mess. One of the reasons why this election is important is so that I would be okay with somebody not Trump voting, just as long as they're not Joe Biden or similar. Because I have no real loyalty to Trump, I guess is one way to put it. And I'm out of paint. But America will fall if Joe Biden gets into presidency. He can't remember a lot of things. He's had a lot of issues, and there's a lot of things going on with him, but yeah, one of the memes, well, I guess, is there was this thing with Joe Biden. He was at a opening of a pool or something, like some public pool, gymnasium, or some athletic building in a community was opening up, and he was giving a presentation, a speech about it, because he grew up there, or some unrelated, insignificant factor. Where'd my paint go? Was it you? It wasn't you. It was... Where'd my paint go? Upstairs. But he started giving a speech about, like, insignificant, inane things, and he started kind of rambling. Anyway, one of the stories he talked about was all the little kids in the pool. They You know, I'll pull that up for you, see if I can. Keyboard, give me a second. But yeah, just, well, he started talking about his hairy legs. I shit you not. And talking about this guy named Popcorn. Oh yeah, he's older than dirt. He like has dementia or Alzheimer's or something. Yeah, look up Joe Biden hairy legs and you'll... I can't quite find a specific video, but yeah, Joe Biden and hairy legs, and you'll find some weird videos where he talked about he has like, I've got hairy legs, really hairy legs, and like all these kids in the pool, they'd love to come up and sit in my lap and like pet my hairy legs. And this is what he's talking to at a public forum for a pool ceremony, and it was just odd and bizarre and creepy. And yeah, Biden, he also started talking about this dude named Popcorn who was coming up with coming to rough up some of his something or other. And so they pull out razor blades and they like leave him rusty and like whatnot. It was just a bizarre rambling speech. And Biden talked about him pulling up a chain, and he was like step back, Popcorn. Like, oh, okay. It was just a bizarre thing. I can't do it justice. You'll have to look it up yourself. But it's just weird. But yeah, that's where presidential running mates have turned into. Joe Biden, a demented old man, or Donald Trump, a very egotistical businessman. It's kind of weird. But yeah, if you feel like you need any information on a Trump meme, feel free to ask me and I'll inform you about what I can. Some weird ones out there, honestly. One of the things I don't get though is well, on this subject is people make fun of stuff all the time. That's not really up for debate. That happens. But how do I put this? I don't get some of the things the left focuses on. It's like, for instance, the Trump water bottle. Apparently, Trump had an incident where he drank a bottle of water weird. No, he didn't spill. He wasn't an idiot. It wasn't like over his shoulder and spilling all over himself. He just drank it a little odd. And apparently that became a laughing point for him. Or in one of the recent debates, the vice presidential debate, Pence apparently had a fly land on his head that he didn't notice for a long time. And that became the focal point for the entire left side, is a fly. That was their whole thing. It was just the fly. I could kind of see, maybe silly. Yeah, go fly, go, something like that. But I don't quite get some of their jokes, or like why they focus on those aspects. I don't know. I don't tend to know everything, and I don't plan to, but it's just some of that stuff is odd, even for me as an American who is in it. Yeah, one of the other ones is a while back there was like Trump floats and balloons of like him being a Trump in a diaper and a baby, and like it's just weird, very satirical type thing. Or another one where Trump's naked on a float doing something really bizarre. It's like, why would you make that? Why would you go out of your way to do something like that weird? Or then you have the blanking on name, comedian, an ex-comedian, some kind of crazy lady who decided it was a good idea to have a fake Trump head with blood and guts and everything, and pretend to just like hold it up and like I've severed Donald Trump's head, which kind of legitimately horrified Trump's kid because he thought it was real for a bit. But it's just some of that stuff I don't get. Why? There was no lightheartedness in that. There was trying to laugh at somebody's demise. It's weird. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's Joe Biden. Hairy legs. I love kids jumping on my lap. He's also done some weird things where he sniffs people. Like, I shit you not, he has sniffed people. Like, ruffled their hair and sniffed it. He has been around. Yeah, look up some other Joe Biden videos, and it's just, you will get that feeling a lot more. And he's up for presidency. But yeah, it's like, I love kids jumping in my lap. That's not something somebody should really ever say. Especially unknown kids, somebody else's kids. Now that is one thing I've never quite thought was... There's a lot of, like, jokes that over the years, but there used to be a presidential thing where, maybe not presidential, but a campaign thing where nominees or whatever, like, my vote, I'm good with babies, and they'd hold up a baby and kiss their baby and hand it back to them, and they're a good person because of that or something. I've never understood that mindset where they, like, are a big old stage or something, and they are kissing babies and, like, stamping things and, like, signing papers, and just a big old event of the thing. It's like, yeah, I could like giving out, like, those hats or badges or picket signs or weird things like that to, like, vote for me. But the kissing babies things, I've never thought that as a good thing. It's always been a very odd and kind of creepy thing. Oh yeah, I've got a right here. Give me one moment. Small brush. We'll go small brush today. But yeah, Joe Biden. That's his. Yeah, I will absolutely, definitely be voting. I've got my. You kind of missed it, but I've got my ballot right here. Putin kissed a boy's belly, and see, they may think, "Hey, look, I'm being silly," or something, or how much I care. But it just has always bugged me. Hit me the wrong way. It's like, even when I was young, it's like, that's weird. I haven't voted already, but I will be. I'm going to be voting in person. But yeah, it's I guess this is a political stream today. Yeah, it's... I'm going to be voting. Just absolutely. This is not an election I can afford to skip out on. But yeah, it's Putin kissed a boy's belly. It's in that regard, it's one of the things one of the reasons I don't ask more about your foreign countries is I don't quite know the rules for what other countries can discuss, because I know Putin is a touchy subject in certain cases. But Putin is a weird one, and he's one of the examples of being in office for too long. But even in America, we know it's not by legitimate means. Oh no, it's I'm pretty much open with like 99% of the things I do. But yeah, I personally will be voting for Trump. Not because I'm a Trump fan or avid for him, but he's going in the right direction. That one being, get everybody just out of the government, just clean house. I don't much care for his attitude for a lot of things, but he's at least working at getting things out of office. which is a very important thing to me personally. If there was if Trump wasn't running, I wouldn't be upset. I'm more of a libertarian aspect. I'm not a Republican. I don't affiliate with them anymore, but I don't really affiliate with any particular group. I kind of believe my own beliefs, which line up with libertarian ideals. If you're ever curious about what I'm for, less government, less things, just stay out of our life, and make sure that China doesn't bomb us. That's about the extent of what I want governments to do. But yeah, this is a important election. Well, you asked me, can I ask you who you're voting for? Now, you guys as viewers in chat don't have to divulge anything you don't want to, because it's my channel and it's the internet. But yeah. I am curious about like your guys' stuff, but like I just said, it's like the internet and chat. You don't have to vote, or you don't have to reply if you don't want to. But it's just, I don't like putting. I'm okay with showing what I do, my opinions, my beliefs, but I don't feel quite right exposing your guys' stuff to the cruelty of the internet. I like this song. I do need to update that playlist. I'll get onto that today. Maybe I can toss in some Higurashi stuff too. Yeah, one of the ways I get music is there's this program I found which is able to rip the music, and so you can actually find the playable file. Biden, honestly, interesting. Can I ask why? Nothing against you. I'm just actually legitimately curious as to why you're voting Biden. And again, I can't talk right now. You don't have to say anything you don't want to. I will not force anything on any of you guys. But I do consider you adults and able to make your own decisions. Well, like what, specifically, if I may ask? What part of them? It's, my main belief, yeah, man, some of it is okay, but yeah, I'm thinking of putting a bit more into the, than just Umineko. 150k. Well, alright, well, free college would be cool, but my issue with a lot of, if I can debate it a bit, is the idea may be good, like free healthcare, free college for people, but I have issues with the practicality of sustaining things like that. Roughly. Decriminalization of drugs. That's one I can actually agree on, for the most part. Investing in renewable energy of sorts. Renewable energy is generally a good thing, but currently there's no real effective way. Now, personally, I think the best renewable energy is actually geothermal, because that's not... If we run out of geothermal energy, we've got bigger problems than an energy crisis. But like renewable energy, like solar is... It's, what do you mean? It's, well, been going on a few topics, and I know my stream is delayed. What specifically you're talking about? When do you mean? I'm gonna assume it's the decriminalization of drugs and renewable energy at the moment. Decriminalization of drugs, one of the aspects is like currently I'm in Washington where weed is legalized. which is one of the aspects of decriminalization of drugs. The simple matter of nothing in life is free. There is no such thing as a free lunch. Somebody has to pay for it. It's one way or the other. Not going to happen. It's a decriminalization of drugs is a weird topic, especially since America had a war on drugs where they quite literally just argued to kids about don't do drugs. Quite literally. Well, a lot of my childhood was don't do drugs. And look how that turned out for the generation. But on the topic of healthcare, college is unsustainable. Not necessarily that it's unsustainable, but just I can say, I want free food for everybody. Okay, how are you going to do that? What are the steps you would take to accomplish that goal? Taxes, that right there is the problem. I would be paying for your or my free healthcare or free college. Taxes are not free. Taxes are not just some government pool. I have to pay them. I am not paying for free. I am paying something. Yes, but I'm not going to college. I'm not using that service. So, technically speaking, why should I pay for it? So you are stealing, you are taking my money to give somebody else a free service. That is the issue. If for instance, like my district, my local county, does not wish to pay for free healthcare, but the entire rest of the state does, should we be forced to pay it? It's an issue. Do you care for me? Do you care for me having to pay something I don't want to pay? It's a matter of perspective at that point. Alright, well, interesting. Well then, it's... How do I say this? Yeah, I'm trying to be delicate in the matter. So bear with me as I find the right words. I'm... Okay. That in and of itself is fine. But, not everybody should be forced to pay more so that others can have a good time. Or don't have to suffer. I honestly fully respect your viewpoint on that. But I have issues with the specifics, practicality of it. And I'm also not saying I'm perfect. I am not the most well-known in any of these matters. But looking at it, I don't like the aspect of forcing people to do things for others. If they wish to help others, that it should be their choice. It should not be their duty, is, I think, one way to put it. And taxes, in one aspect, are an aspect of forcing people to help others, which leads to them not wanting to help others, and leads to other issues as well. One of the other aspects is our tax system is a mess. If we had a simpler, more effective tax system, I might not have as much issue with it, but as it currently stands, taxes are currently an issue. If nothing else, in how they're handled. Well, am I allowed to go without them? Am I allowed to do a lot of that? Now, some of it is social normality, like clothing. That's one thing. But hell, there are nudist beaches where people are allowed to be nude if they so feel like it. But clothing isn't a weird kind of just social norm. But other than that, you are right with the postal service, firefighting, police, and whatnot. However, in that same, not a town, city. Yeah, I know it. I was pointing out the exception to your examples, as opposed to legitimately notifying for nudity. But postal service, firefighting, police. With the police, well, hell, perfect example is actually in my state. Seattle was currently decentralized. The group, I think it was Antifa. I can't remember who the hell it was. I think it was Antifa. Took over a police department and started rioting and looting that district. And the police stood down. That is a case of I am being forced to, well, not me personally, but they're local up there. The people in that city were being forced to pay for a police force that did not do their job, and then stood down while their livelihood was being undone. Should they be forced to pay for a service that is not helping them? The concept of what firefighting, police, postal should be isn't ideal. I have problem with the actual practice of it, which is where it falls short. Firefighters are also another weird exception, because I do know we tried to have privatized firefighting that didn't quite work out. Like, this house had fire insurance, that house didn't. So I'm willing to admit that some cases yes, but I'd like to personally limit it as much as possible for how much we're forced to work with. Yeah, and it's like you're forcing me to pay for a service that isn't working. And I disagree with that part of it. I don't mind. I do mind, but I would be okay with paying for a service that I know would actually function, that does what it's supposed to. But I know there's just corruption out the wazoo for a hell of a lot of governmental systems because they are required. Shifting topics a bit for a more one I know a bit more about is insurance. Forcing people to pay insurance has caused insurance prices to skyrocket because everybody's forced to have them. Therefore, they can charge whatever they want and they have to be paid because people have to have it. Therefore, forcing everybody to have something is not beneficial to everybody. And I apply that logic to the other aspects, is how I see it. But yeah, it's in and of itself, I don't have an issue with the police or fire or postal. I actually legitimately believe we need those services. I just don't believe with how we're going about it. Though at the same time, I don't quite know a better solution for it. Police being an example, because I live currently in a small town and the police are menaces. There's actually many cases of them being corrupt, allowing drug dealers to just go do whatever, arresting everybody for parking tickets and miscellaneous things like that. A lot of odd issues. But the current system is police have to have a quota, with the mindset that if they aren't doing enough, there's no reason for us to have them on the force. So they start creating situations where they would be needed in order to keep their job, which is honestly understandable position. You don't want to lose your job, so you got to make sure you have a job. But their job tends to be, in more cases than not, just anti-civilian just by their very nature. License plate ticket, speeding ticket, parking ticket, jaywalking, all this miscellaneous stupid shit. Present, please. Yeah, I'm not arguing that we don't need the police or we don't need firefighting, but we need something else than what we got. And forcing it onto everybody doesn't seem like the right choice for me. But yeah, it's I guess one way to put it is maybe police is too broad of a group. Like, police are called for everything from a cat in a tree to suicide to riot squads to drug busts. Maybe we need to break up the police. Not like dismantle them, but maybe different categories. And like just odd distance. So maybe if we were paying for like a National Guard, just I don't have a term for it, but like if we just had solely for the SWAT and or National Guard teams, and we weren't being forced to pay for the parking meters and shit, that might be a more agreeable term for me for doing it. I think I just see too much room for corruption and abuse of power with a forced required fee to pay for something. Alright. He's not being so pushy. This is... I see this as very civil. If you want to see pushy... I've seen pushy. Yeah, fair enough. It's... well, cool. Feel free to question me about anything if you want. I tend to be an open book, and I like actually having debates and not just political shit flinging. I don't like that aspect. Alright, have a good day yourself as well, please. I hope none of this has soured any mood towards anybody, but please, I do wish you a good day. And thank you for the discussion. It was actually quite interesting. Well, hopefully we can have another one. It's actually not too bad. Alright. Well, to maybe get off a heavy topic at that. Working on Gaap. I think I might need brighter colors for this. I think I've got a base color here, but it's too dark, much too dark. Let's try, especially with the painting I've got over, the picture I've got over here. It's a much brighter one. It's too dark. No, let's mess with it. Let's experiment with that for a bit. Alright, but that was... I didn't know I'd immediately go back to discussing things. But that was, I believe, a relatively good debate. There wasn't screaming, there wasn't any screaming of political party lines, but just, as I took it, an honest questioning of a person's belief. Which is hopefully what debates should be closer to, as opposed to some where I know where it ends up devolving into screams of racist and bigot and other miscellaneous slurs. And nobody is... When the debate is, you're not trying to understand a point, you're trying to force an opinion down. That's when things fall short. It's very extremely difficult to change somebody's mind. You can only do so if the person is willing to. Which is easier said than done. this is not fixing it properly. And I mix that all in, and it's very pink. But yeah, I wish more people actually had debates for understanding, as opposed to debates to prove a point or push an agenda, because that's always fun. Not. Alright, let's go with this guy. But that's ideally that's the ideal. Anyway, I know it's not gonna be what always happens, but it's nice to work towards that. But yeah, it's I'll try and steer away from politics for now. But yeah, it's one of the reasons I chose Gaap was because this character, Gaap is portrayed as a sexy character. Her clothing is just a gap. And this character here that I'm doing, her name is Tinsel, and she's basically a sex object, and uses that to her advantage for political gain. I did not plan for this, trust me. But red bag. It's just a burlap sack with the sides cut, right? But red linen, I guess. Shit. But yeah, her clothing is basically amounts to that, which is quite silly when you think about it. Hey, this isn't quite turning out right. Too many holes. Ay, man. Can we start talking about politics again? But yeah, no, it's politics is at least a topic that can be talked about. We're starting to veer into shady territory for Twitch censors and shit. But yeah, it's but anyway, yeah, I chose this character because she was designed around sex appeal, and I'm not really helping my case much. But they had similar characteristics, similar aspects. This character I'm painting is much more evil than Gaap is, but it seemed to fit. There was also the color scheme, white and red, yellowish white, and Gaap, and it seemed to fit a bit better. She's also based a bit more around the legs. She's a bit taller than some of the others, and once that kind of just started falling into place, everything just kind of clicked. No, that's fine. It's if like my American spiel about whatever starts annoying guys, please let me know. If anything I'm doing is wrong, upsetting, whatever, just let me know. I'm going on the assumption that what I'm talking about is okay. If it's not, let me know. That's not to say I'll immediately stop, but I'll at least, for the very most, consider it. But yeah, because I'm just doing whatever happens to be makes sense at the time. So. But yeah, it's because I do know there is the mindset of the dumb, arrogant American, just speaking nothing but America. Oh, that's perfectly fine. I will always respect people's not wanting to take part in the conversation, things like that. or deciding to take part. I try and be respectful. I just have no feedback on if it's working or not. I guess is one way to put it. But on that note, I do know that feel free to make as many American jokes as you want. I will laugh along with you, because America is like that. Yeah. I've heard stories of well, there's this one I read of a while back where this dude, an American, was married to a British lady, I think it was. And every 4th of July, they have a contest to see who can be more stereotypical of their countries. Feel free, yeah, knock yourself out. I don't know many other foreign jokes other than the really stupid India the country ones, or like just a stereotypical vodka Russian type shit. Other than that, I don't know too many foreign jokes, really, because America's too focused on itself to focus on anything else. But yeah, this dude was married to a British lady, and every 4th of July, or whatever the hell the date was, they have a contest to see who can be more stereotypical of American or British. So this dude, he spent the morning brewing some coffee and getting like a typical like Sherlock Holmes or like British get up with a little fancy mustache or something, and he sat all prim and proper in his little dining table, sipping his tea, waiting for his wife to come in. And then his wife came in. She apparently got a friend to let her borrow the electric scooter in the Walmart, and drove in with like American flags and like a stuffed bald eagle on the shoulder, just like booming into the door, "America, fuck yeah!" and just driving it. She won the stereotypical fight, but yeah, no. Tea time. But yeah, she busted in the door with like blaring music, like "I'm proud to be an American" or some American thing, on an electric motor cart with just America 120%. But yeah, you know, knock yourself out. If you want to laugh at me, feel free. Americans are silly that way. I will be the first to admit that. But yeah, it's being able to laugh at yourself and countrymen and such is a sign of healthy behavior, I believe. If you're not allowed to laugh, what point is there? But yeah, it's just silly. There was another one, I think. What was it? Oh, there's cases of like idiot tourists. Yeah, Americans make horrible tourists, I will admit. Mainly from the boomer generation. But there was an example of like some story where these people were in vacation in like Spain or something, and they were complaining that everybody was speaking Spanish. They're like, they're speaking Spanish. It's like, why don't they speak English? It's like they're in a foreign country or something. And just the lack of self-awareness in the whole thing was just, at the same time, mind-boggling, but at the other time, absolutely, yeah, that's exactly what they do. Because yeah, these people went to Spain and expected them to speak English, and were upset that they were speaking Spanish. Because everyone should be speaking English. I went to Germany, and I didn't know German, but I did not expect them to know English. I did not expect to understand everything. It's a bit of a difference. When you're going to a country, expect the country to speak its own native language, not yours. But yeah, it's Americans be weird, Americans be egotistical, Americans be stupid and fat. And apparently one of the other ones is on the subject of food. Americans apparently have just ginormous food portions as opposed to the rest of, honestly, apparently the world. So I understand it. I know we are very fat with them, and people always make jokes about the super jumbo soda. Yeah, like yeah, well, we have like there's like a cup about yay big. Maybe. Let's see if I can find a good reference for you. Yeah, about as tall as this ballot, while also being about yay big round, big old like gallon jug of like drink. Yeah, no, it's like that should be the norm, but in America, our only foreign countries are next to us that we have any real interaction with is Canada above us, and they speak English and a smidge of French, or Mexico below us, which speaks Spanish. That's the only foreign languages we are really exposed to, or have any real reason to take part in. And most of the time we just speak English because the entire rest of the country speaks English. Just that's all that we got. I don't know how to get that to look right. But and so I see it a lot as, since America only ever interacts with America, there's not much reason to start believing otherwise. Not that I practice it, but explaining their mindset. I speak Russian. I don't speak Russian, German or Russian. I took Duolingo for a bit on some of that, and I've really regressed on some of it. I took a bit of German and Russian Duolingo. German because I was going to go there and I wanted to learn a bit of the language, but it got really complicated really fast. Apparently Russian is similar in complexity, but yeah, it's It's like this isn't looking right. But yeah, no, it's like, yeah, the three languages I've always been interested in: Japanese, Russian, and German. Those are the three languages I've always been kind of fascinated by. Mostly Japanese by the language itself, how it's built, structured, what it looks like, and such, as well as also, I can't deny, it's just anime and shit. I've liked Russian and German because of the way it sounds. It's a very interesting sounding, they are very interesting sounding languages, and lack of a word to describe it, more guttural based sounds. I don't have the word for it and I'm blanking entirely on what to call it, but it sounds different and it sounds interesting and fascinating and more different emphasis on different consonants and such. It's I can't quite explain it, but they sound different and I like that sound. I should really work at learning it again. One of the plans is, when I get to Texas, I am going to try and focus on doing more things I want to do. Because here there's just nothing here in this town I'm at. So I'm hoping I can get into a group that helps progress on some of that stuff. Because I work a lot better in groups. By myself, it's really difficult. But Beatrice here keeps wanting me to learn Japanese, and like, forget Russian, just learn Japanese. So it's I could pick that up again, I guess. American healthcare? Yeah. Yeah. American healthcare is ridiculous. Japanese is the best. Yeah, see? American healthcare. I saw a joke the other day that pretty much sums it up. In America, there is, if you ever want to know about American healthcare, just know that there is a popular show where a man decided to make industrial strength crystal meth in order to pay his medical bills. So, and yeah, that people could actually see that happening. Maybe not the whole situation, but taste really. But yeah, it would depend on your tastes. I think German would potentially. Oh. Based off your hobby, if you ignore the hobby aspect of Japanese stuff like manga, anime, shit like that, I see Russian, German roughly equal for usefulness, and then Japanese is kind of just out there. If you take the hobby aspect of it out of there. I would. You cannot pay me to learn Chinese. I don't wish to. I don't wish to do anything with China. For a multitude of reasons I'll not get into, but you probably all know. Well, I'm gonna assume you all know. But, it is after 6, so... But yeah, it's languages are fascinating to me, and I just wish I could speak. I had more interaction with it than just learning. Because currently, my only interaction with these languages is learning it, and I need something more than just learning it. Something to read, something to watch, something to listen to, somebody to talk to in the language, and be around it. For me personally, I think to do more on it. But anyway, this will be about it for today. I'm going to be trying to break this out in a week if I can. But this is a pretty good base for starting out with Gaap. It's a bit dark. And let's see if I can get to... give me a sec. I think I can... change that up. No. There we go. A little bit more. I gotta figure out a way to get the glare to not work right. My lighting is bad. But I've got a very pink color here and a very light red here. So the color is off, but it's what I got. Anywho, that'll be it for today. Well, for the stream anyway. It was an interesting one, if I do say. But for now I'll have to take off. See you later, guys. Have fun. And yeah. You too, guys, you too. It was an interesting one. And yeah, if you ever want to talk to me about anything, politics, language, memes, feel free. I'm just talking because I